Hello and welcome to round 3 of the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championships presented by Motul. For this pivotal round, we're at Goulburn's Wakefield Park Raceway, one of the most physically demanding circuits on the 2022 calendar. Known as the nation's spectator circuit, Wakefield Park crams 10 corners into its 2.2 kilometre length. A lap around here gives no opportunity for rest, especially on a 200 horsepower superbike. And it all gets underway as we go through the kink at turn 1. Alpine Stars corner very, very fast. Back down the gearbox into Motul corner turn 2, then it's the long run up the hill to Dunlop corner turn 3. Suzuki turn 4 and Ducati turn 5, very quick succession, and then we start the run down the hill through Michelin, a very fast right-hand corner, through AMMF, and then hard on the brakes for Pirelli corner turn 8. Back to second gear, all the way through turn 9 Honda corner and out onto the very short back straight. Quick acceleration, then back down through the gearbox to turn 10 and back out onto the My Bike Motorcycle Insurance start-finish straight to complete a lap here at Wakefield Park. Let's find out more about this circuit with Steve Martin.
Well, Troy, here we are. You grew up 4 kilometres away from here. Little did you know that you would become the king of Wakefield Park, and that's why we've got you here today to tell us about this 2.2 kilometre track. And I want to start here at turn 1. I couldn't help but notice how you guys just get so close to this wall and clip it almost on your way into that Alpine Stars turn 1.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with Wakefield Park. It's not the fastest straight on the circuit, but the spectators can literally stand there on that wall and they can reach out and touch you. So when you're going down the straight at 240 or 50k an hour and you're just banking into turn 1, it's a real thrill.
Yeah, it's actually really scary to watch. When you get through turn 1 though, it's not over, is it? There's a lot more to see. Let's go and have a look. Well, the track's a bit of a cruise up to this point, isn't it? You know, you're up through the gears, but when you're coming into Dunlop here, things get tight, fast and furious.
It sure gets really intense from this point. The track's skinny, the curves are high, there's bumps, there's change of direction. If you mess turn 2 up, the whole lap's pretty much gone. So, it's so important to be really precise on the way through turn 2.
Well, Troy, this is one of your favourite corners, and there's been plenty of rider that have seen you slide up the inside here.
It sure is. I've had so many great passes into this corner. I'm not sure why, but I just like it. It's really technical. It's off camber. But on the other side of that, Steve, I've also been off in the gravel here where I've come in a little bit too hot. And because the corner closes up so much and you've got to be so precise, it's really easy to make a mistake.
Well, you certainly don't get much rest out of the Honda corner down this short back straight, but it's really important to set yourself up for this final corner.
This corner's so slow, Steve, that on a superbike with 200 horsepower, it's possible to pass someone over the finish line because the bike just slides out of the corner, no matter what lap you're on, how much grip you've got.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It's also a little bit off bank, but it's a corner that you would want to be leading coming out. I mean, have you ever been dragged to the line before?
Yeah, you would think you want to lead in the last corner, but I think I've lost here twice now on the way to the finish line. So yeah, it is possible to win from second place, but you definitely want to be leading in the last turn.
Well, it's not much of a run to that final straight there, but I'll tell you what, if you do get it right, as you have in the past, it's real good if you can high-five the crowd, hey?
Yeah, that was cool. Going on the grass banking, high-fiving the locals, my family. It's a memory I won't forget.
Last time out at Queensland Raceway, it was Yamaha Racing Team's Mike Jones that dominated the round. Magic Mike qualified on pole, took victory in both races. A perfect haul of 51 championship points has rocketed the two-time champion to the top of the 2022 standings, and he celebrated with a massive burnout in Park for May. Championship points now. Mike Jones leads the championship on 86 points, ahead of early championship leader Brian Starring, who took the lap record at Queensland Raceway, now sits in second place on 70 points. Josh Waters very close in third place on 67. Wayne Maxwell up to fourth. Glenn Allerton and Arthur Cece's round out the top 6. And once again, it was that man, Magic Mike, on bike number 46 that qualified on pole position here at Wakefield Park Raceway, with his teammate Crew Halliday very close behind in second for the first Yamaha 1-2 for many, many years. Look out for Crew Halliday and Mike Jones as they'll start from the front row of the grid. Plenty more action coming up here at Wakefield Park. Alpine Stars Superbike Race 1 up next. Alpine Star Superbike getting ready to go on the final warm-up lap, Steve Martin. Mike Jones will start from that front row of the grid, picking up that extra all-important point as well, and that is his 10th competition in the Superbike class as well.
Absolutely. This start is going to be an absolute cracker. Everyone wants to get into that turn one in first place. You need to get a good start at Wakefield Park. It's tight, especially on these superbikes with 200 horsepower. You really have to just do what you can to get up to the front, at least in the first couple of laps.
Well, let's recap that grid now. It is Jones that will start from pole position with his teammate Crew Halliday. First Yamaha 1-2 since 2016, and that was Wayne Maxwell that actually qualified on pole on that occasion. He starts on the front row as well. The second row is Brian Starring, Troy Herfoss and Josh Waters.
Yeah, good to see Josh Waters up there with Arthur Cece's having another cracker round. Glenn Allerton there on the BMW as well. Good for him. And Lachlan Epps on the Alliance BMW next to him.
Don't be surprised to see Arthur Cece somewhere near the front as well. We know he always gets good starts. Row 4 is Mark Kyoto, Matt Walters and Daniel Falzon. Row 5, Jed Metcher. Brock Pearson, unfortunately, out of this race. Sustained some injuries in morning warm-up this morning. Then it's Amp West, Chandler Cooper and Michael Edwards that round out the field.
Yeah, big field, exciting race. Really looking forward to the start of this one.
It is really hard to try and pick a winner because there's so many riders that have shown pace this weekend. All of the riders on virtually the first two rows of the grid could be a possible race winner.
The times are so tight, Phil. That's what's going to make this one a cracker.
Jones pulls into pole position, takes that one tear off his visor, getting ready, so he's got clear view of turn one. Ready to go racing. You can see Herfoss and Maxwell pumping themselves up on the grid. Red flag leaves the front of the grid. Alpine Stars Superbike, race 1, ready to go. Superbikes go. Looks like a fantastic start from Maxwell on the inside of the circuit. He could have very well have the running as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time. And through Motul corner he goes in the lead. Halliday's got a cracking start. He's in third position. That's his best start for ages. Herfoss has got a good start as well, not too far behind. But Arthur Cece's, as predicted, up into 4th place on board bike number 61. The lightning starter from South Australia's done it again.
Well, you knew Arthur Cece's was going to be up there, didn't you? And what a start for Maxwell. But Crew Halliday, well done.
So it's down the hill we go. Maxwell leading, right on his tail is Jones on 46. Then it's Halliday on 65. Down the inside already on Arthur Cece's was Troy Herfoss. Desperate to try and get back up the inside. Didn't want to risk getting held up at all. Brian Starring's also gone through as well. Looked like Josh Waters has got a pretty good start on board the Maxima Racing Royals .film BMW as well on board bike number 21.
Just caught out of the corner of my eye there. Starring got absolutely sideways. Manages to pull it all up and he sits back there in 5th position at the moment. Looking to go. Everything he can to try and make that through. Herfoss is pretty happy at the moment where he sits, I reckon.
Yeah, rolling thunder as they made their way down the short Wakefield Park main straight for the first time. It is Jones glued to the ducktail of the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech V4R Ducati at the top of the hill. Herfoss is starting to extricate himself from Starring as well and move his way forward. He's desperate to get on the back of Crew Halliday's Yamaha Racing Team R1 as they come through the top of the hill and down through the very fast Michelin corner and try and launch an assault on the brakes of Pirelli.
Yeah, he's looking good there in 2nd position is Mike Jones on the factory Yamaha at the moment with his teammate Crew Halliday consolidating. He'll be pinching himself with that start, Crew Halliday. We know that once he settles down, he did it at Phillip Island. He was able to pass Mike Jones. Maybe Mike Jones ain't going to have it all his own way this time out.
Good start too from Mark Kyoto. He's made his way up into 8th position, right on the back of Arthur Cece's now. As we look further back in the field, good battle there.
57.2, first time round for Wayne Maxwell. That shows you where his qualifying lap time. He did a 57.1, I think, in qualifying. So he's already on that qualifying lap time in the race with a tank load of fuel, enough to finish 20 laps.
And when asked yesterday what the race pace would be in 57s, Mike Jones's comment was, it'll be faster than that. They've started off in pretty good fashion with a 57.2 on the first flying lap. Jones just has a little bit of a look, just decides to pull back in line. Drew Halliday, he's run wide on the brakes down into Pirelli, and Herfoss is closed right up onto the back now of the 65 machine. Massive loss of track position there for Crew Halliday on board bike number 65.
You can't afford to make mistakes around this track, considering that Halliday, look at starring sideways. Halliday was the fastest man on track. 56s on his first flying lap, Crew Halliday. So fastest lap, but makes a mistake and loses time.
Bit of a track there from Josh Waters on the Maximum Oils racing. Now that quickly and made his way up to the sixth position and starting to claw back the gap to Brian Starring as well. Maxwell really starting to get it a bit sideways on the run up the hill through AMMF corner as well.
Look, Jones's speciality is looking smooth, and I tell you what, he's looking pretty smooth out there at the moment. He's menacing the back of Wayne Maxwell on the boost by K-Tech.
I tell you what, Wayne Maxwell is used to coming under pressure here at Wakefield Park. The strange thing is it's usually bike number 17, Troy Herfoss, that is the man putting the pressure on. You can see Jones got a little bit wrong on the brakes there and had to brake a little bit harder, lost a few bike lengths to Maxwell, but this is the man we need to keep our eye on. He's not called the governor of Goulburn for nothing. The wizard of Wakefield Park, Troy Herfoss, is starting to make his way forward and he's right onto the back of Crew Halliday now.
Look, this is Herfoss's welcome back race is what I say, because he has been struggling with that Honda, struggling with a lot of things, but now you can see, it's plain to see he's back and he's competitive, so I'm really happy for him. And I tell you, they never gave up, they put in a lot of effort, and good old Herfoss is not letting them down this time out.
All of these top riders, their teams have done a miraculous job to make their bikes be able to ride the bumps. We were saying about it before, Steve Martin. We saw the Supersport 300s really going across the bumps as they went through turn 2. These Superbikes look so smooth.
Well, they certainly do, but there's a lot of time and effort put into the suspension on these things. Not only is it changing springs, they're constantly changing the valving, the oil levels, the shock spec. There's a million things that they do to try and make the rider feel plush out there on track and make it brake straight and also handle the bumps. They've got a lot more development they can do than the smaller classes.
Fastest man on track so far in this race has been Wayne Maxwell with a 56.972 as they come across the line now to complete the kit. So it's race distance. It's a long race round here, Wakefield Park. 20 laps of physical racing, 10 corners, packed into 2.2 kilometres, and Jones right behind Wayne Maxwell gets great drive out of Motul corner and up the hill through AMMF. As they come through Dunlop now, you can see the bikes riding the bumps very well. Then these two corners that are so close together, and then this deceptively fast right-hander through Michelin that sets you up for a possible outbraking manoeuvre. And that's exactly what Jones is doing. He looks to go to the inside, but no, Maxwell is too late on the brakes at Pirelli to let Jones through.
Yeah, and not only that, he takes that tight line at the apex early, does Maxwell. He's just letting Jonesy know that you're not going to go there. If you take that inside line, that's where we're going to collect each other.
Unfortunately for Wayne, he's been overtaken there a few times by Troy Herfoss, so he knows exactly how to block the corner off and try and let anyone through.
That's because you need to set it up way earlier. Jones is leaving it too late to set that move up.
So it looks like Herfoss has got his head down. He said that this bike, the new CBR 1000 Triple R, is a very different animal to the Honda that he's ridden with such great success over the last couple of seasons here at Wakefield Park. It's taking a little while to try and adapt that bike to this very tricky circuit, but it looks like the Penrite Honda team, led by Phil Clayton there, have been doing a pretty good job to get that bike set up, and it's looking better than what it has over the last couple of years.
Absolutely.
Considering the pace that this race is being run at.
Yeah, it's a lot more top-end power than the old bike. The old bike you sort of rode, and it was like you were asking for more power, and that is the sort of bike you need to ride around this circuit. So Herfoss, a lot more wheel spin than he's used to, but the team dialing it out and setting it up looks like almost perfectly for him this time around.
Maxwell looking smooth out the front, as he always does, with minimal body movement around the motorcycle, courtesy of all of the training he's been doing on his little Lavalis as he sets up the Australian Championship for those miraculous little machines. It looks like he's pulled out a couple of tenths of gap over Mike Jones. The lead now up to 0.3 of a second. That's nothing around Wakefield Park as he once again rides the bumps and he sets sail up the hill through AMMF. Jones just sitting there in second position. Dropping back a little bit, looks like Crew Halliday. His last lap was a 57.3, so not too far off the pace, but Jones on that last lap, uncharacteristically, was a 57.5.
Yeah, it looks like he made some sort of mistake heading off that final corner, and the Ducati man in front, Wayne Maxwell, just pulled a bit of a gap, but he's pulled that gap back down now, so Jones sitting where he wants to be.
Now top five all doing 57-second laps on the last lap. Josh Waters in sixth was back into a 58 flat, as was Arthur Cece's in seventh position. Glenn Allerton was also in the 57s, back in eighth position, trying to tag onto the back of his teammate. You can see there Allerton on board bike number 14. the Maxima Racing Oils .film BMW. Marchiato putting in a great ride, just ahead of Daniel Falzon on board bike number 25. A far less complicated weekend this weekend for Daniel Falzon. He doesn't have to duck to get married in the middle of the weekend.
And then make it back for the race the next day. No, absolutely. So good job by Daniel. Remember, he's recovering from injury as well, so it's not all plain sailing for him.
Back down to KP.
Team manager at Penrite Honda Racing. How is Troy going out there? He's finding speed and slowly gaining.
Yeah, he's pretty consistent at the moment. Hopefully no mistakes and we can stay in contact with this top three here and maybe hopefully challenge for a podium at the end.
And do you think in terms of development of tyre and track that is going to swing in his direction?
I'm hoping so, but as long as we don't make any mistakes, we'll stay there.
Yeah, he was feeling pretty confident on the grid from what he's won here before. Thanks, Dion.
Bye.
Thanks, boys.
You can just see the nerves there from Dion, can't you? He doesn't want to say too much at the moment, just standing there keeping both of his hands, fingers crossed, probably toes too, that Herfoss can just get a good result, because that will give him the confidence for race 2 today. I noticed that Halliday is just starting to close that gap down a little bit there too, so maybe I'm sure that he wants to join the party. Nobody wants to see your teammate in front of you. Jonesy there, once again, not much you can do. Looks like Maxwell is so strong into that Pirelli corner.
Yeah, nothing separated them on the last lap, but Crew Halliday was a couple of hundredths of a second faster than Maxwell on lap 9 of this event. We're coming around to complete lap 10 now, so it's half race distance. The tyres will start to probably lose a little bit of grip now from now to the end of the race, and it's going to be who's been able to manage those tyres the best in the first part of this race.
Well, yeah.
There's a yellow flag just waved at the end of the straight there, so no overtaking. Jones can't get past. You can see that someone, Marchiato, has crashed in turn 1. Unfortunately, Marchiato was having a fantastic ride, well inside the top 10, but unfortunately his race is finished a fraction early.
We've got Craig McMartin here on Boost Mobile from K-Tech Suspension. Wayne Maxwell's team manager. He's finding speed out there. There's some pretty good battles happening. Tell us about the strategy going in and how he's going to complete this race to get on the top step.
You know, a typical Wayne, he'll settle into a rhythm and just go at his pace. And the race is, we're getting a long way into the race now. So hopefully, he can keep what he's doing, and the tyre will last a distance. The Pirelli, I think, won't have a problem. So we'll just see who's got the best bike.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Well, just while we were hearing Craig talking, then you could see Wayne Maxwell riding over the bumps, and if anything, his bike is actually starting to look better, smoother as he makes his way through Yamaha Rebshahart corner, the final corner, and still getting great drive up the hill through AMMF corner. Jones's bike's starting to move around a little bit, but once again, Mike Jones is the master of riding that bike smoothly.
Absolutely. I mean, Jones is just sitting there. I don't believe that that's all that Jones has got. He's going to have a dig, but we do know how smart Maxwell is and how tough he is. He just is so good into that fish hook, which is one of the major overtaking spots on this track, but I don't think Jonesy can do it there. He's got the perfect line as Wayne Maxwell. As they head through the corner, he's good out of there too, which makes it awfully hard into the final turn for Jonesy to have a dive up the inside, which is your other major overtaking spot.
Well, final corner of lap 15 coming up there. We're heading towards the start-finish line now to complete 3/4 race distance. It is still Wayne Maxwell leading over Mike Jones. Crew Halliday in 3rd place. Fastest man of the leading group on that last lap was once again Crew Halliday. The current gap from Crew Halliday to the race lead is about 0.8 of a second, so Halliday just chipping away at it, but he's going to have to find a little bit more because we've only got 4 laps to go on it. His current rate of progression is not going to get up to a position where he can put a challenge on his teammate or race leader Wayne Maxwell.
When these two guys start having a bit of a dice together and Jonesy makes his move, which it looks like he's trying to do right now, can't do it, that's when Crew Halliday can pounce, because it'll slow those two guys down. Halliday's in almost the perfect position to take advantage of that, maybe get them both in one move. That's what his plan has to be now with so many laps, with not many laps to go.
In the last 14 races at Wakefield Park, only Wayne Maxwell and Troy Herfoss have taken victories here. 9 victories for Herfoss and 5 victories for Wayne Maxwell. Could we see for the first time in 7 years a new victor here at Wakefield Park? Maxwell's just put in an absolute cracker, a 57.642. That's faster than Mike Jones by 2/10 of a second as he tries to pull out a little bit of a gap. 16 laps down, we've only got 4 laps to go.
Well, that would be the plan that I would do if I was Wayne Maxwell. With a few laps to go, nail it. Just ride calmly to this point, and now he's got to give it everything he's got. Now's the time to show your cards.
And Jones has pulled right up, back up onto the back of Maxwell, tries to dive down the inside. He started that move nice and early, like you said, Steve Martin, but Maxwell just saw him coming, let the brakes off. The Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech V4R and just went a little bit faster into the corner, but was able to maintain his line as he makes his way through Honda now and out onto the back straight. He knows that Jones is going to try and make a manoeuvre now. Jones has signalled his intent.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Jones has got to try something different. He's been setting himself up now a few times in that same position as they head down the hill there on that change of direction through the Michelin corner. But it's not going to work. He's going to have to get a little bit more aggressive if he wants to make that work, or he's got to do something desperate where Maxwell doesn't expect it.
Well, Jones has made a move up the hill. He's got great drive.
Like
and he's
that.
pulled ahead through AMF corner. I don't think Wayne Maxwell was expecting that. And you predicted it, Steve Martin, when you said, I think Jones has got a little bit more than that left. As he comes through the top of the hill now, Maxwell knows he's got a fight on his hands and he's going to have to try and claw onto the back of that very rapid Yamaha R1M as Jones has pulled out 3 bike lengths lead in the matter of 4 corners.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Jones does now, because it looked to me like he did have a little bit more as we have a look at the AMX replay. He goes in a little bit wide, wider than Maxwell, tips it in earlier, holds it a bit tighter, gets on the gas earlier. Look at how much it's sliding on the exit there, and gets the power down and says, see you later, mate, I'm going to pass you where you don't expect me to do it. And that's what he needed to do, because Maxwell had the other spots covered.
Well, that was grip and acceleration on display there from Jones, but also bike control as he was able to keep the bike sliding, hold the throttle on, and get the run up the hill through Dunlop, and managed to survive that very bumpy corner entry.
Absolutely. Now, he's the man with a little bit of an advantage. 0.4 is normally not a big advantage, but at this track, it's a lot to make up. And now, Crew Halliday is right on the back wheel of the Ducati man.
Well, on lap 19 now, so the penultimate lap for our race leader, Mike Jones. His teammate, Drew Halliday, is trying desperately to make it another Yamaha 1-2. We saw them go 1-2 in qualifying, but standing in his way is the reigning champion, Wayne Maxwell, on the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech Ducati V4R. As we come through Honda corner for the penultimate time and head down towards Yamaha Revshahat corner, Jones has got a very handy lead. Maxwell is going to have to put an incredible last lap in if he's going to take this race victory. And Herfoss, I think, has got a pretty safe 4th position under control. He's got a massive gap over Brian Starring, who could very well be coming under assault from the rapid South Australian Arthur CC's, who is on great form at the moment.
Absolutely. Arthur doing a fantastic job there.
So final lap. Mike Jones leads by 0.6 of a second over Wayne Maxwell. Maxwell sitting in 2nd place and looks like he has got enough of a buffer over Crew Halliday that he should be able to take that 2nd place. But it is Jones, the current championship leader, the man that started from pole position, that leads them down the hill for the final time.
Jones with a 57.4 last time through as well. So he has pulled the pin. He had a little bit extra, and you can just see there that gap opening up now to nearly 0.8 of a second. He's got this one, has Jones.
Well, if anything, Crew Halliday pulled up a little bit on the brakes in that final attempt at the Pirelli corner as well, but I think Jones has got this one in the bag. Down the inside, no need to go too deep and shallow on the brakes there, Mike. Wayne Maxwell is not near you as he makes his way out of the corner for the final time. Jones will make it 3 race wins in a row on board bike number 46 as he comes to the line and takes victory over Wayne Maxwell. Crew Halliday rounds out the podium in 3rd, and you reckon he's happy once again. It is magical, Mike.
Yeah, what a ride by Mike Jones. He just played that book perfect.
Coming across the line in 4th position was Troy Herfoss. The gap to the race lead, 6.7 seconds. He won't be happy with that, but it's his best race result since that injury at Darwin last year, Steve. So he'll be pretty happy with the points that he will take. Brian Starring takes out 5th position. Arthur CC's, that strong run of form continues for Arthur and makes it 3 Yamahas inside the top 6. Glenn Allerton won the race between the BMW teammates to the line on board bike number 14, finishing in 7th position on the Maxima Racing Got Film BMW. Josh Waters, his teammate, in 8th. Daniel Fowles in 9th, and West rounds out the top 10. Wow. Wow, what can you say about this man? Mike Jones, he holds up the one finger at the moment. No one can seem to challenge the Queenslander, who once again has won the race. That's 3 in a row.
Well, there it is. Mike Jones takes the win. Wayne Maxwell in second, 1.1 seconds behind in the end, with Crew Halliday third. Troy Herfoss takes out that fourth spot. That was a great comeback by Troy Herfoss. We've been waiting for that. Starring, he's got to find something for the next race. Arthur Cece's still on good form. Glenn Allerton, as you said, Phil, wins that BMW battle. Josh Waters, Daniel Fowles on there too, good, coming back from injury. Ant West made his way forward into that top 10.
Yeah, Jed Metzer in 11th, Lockie Epps in 12th, Matt Walters 13th, Max Stouffer. Can't say how good that is for Max Stouffer to get out there after that crash on Friday afternoon. Alpine Star Superbike riders are finishing their final warm-up lap before we get underway for race 2 of the category here at round 3 of this championship at Wakefield Park. My Bike Motorcycle Insurance Australian Superbike Championship has certainly put on a great show so far, and this weekend the great show is coming from Mike Jones. He qualified on pole position, he won the first race of the weekend. Crew Halliday starts out a second, Wayne Maxwell in third. On the second row of the grid we have Brian Starring, Troy Herfoss and Josh Waters.
Arthur Cece's, Glenn Allerton and Lachlan Epps on row 3.
Row 4 of the grid, Mark Kyoto I noticed was out there on the grid but wasn't on his motorbike. Matt Walters and Daniel Falzon out there as well. Jed Metcher, Brock Pearson unfortunately out with injury this weekend as well. And Ant West make up row 5 with row 6 Chandler Cooper, Michael Edwards and Max Stouffer, the brave Max Stouffer, fighting on after that big crash on Friday. Rented him with some pretty stiff issues. But we're ready to go for Alpine Star Superbike. Superbikes are go. Good start from the outside of the grid from Mike Jones as well, as they make their way down towards turn 1 for the first time. Around the outside comes Starring, but Maxwell managed to hold his line in second place. Coming up the inside though, it's Crew Halliday. He's got a cracking start and he's up to second place behind his teammate. Maxwell's back to third. Then it's Troy Herfoss in fourth, Starring in fifth, and no surprise to say Arthur Cece's up there ahead of the Maxima Racing .Film BMWs of Glenn Allerton. Oh, up the inside was that Lachlan Epps going ahead of Glenn Allerton. That was Josh Waters.
Yeah, he certainly made the most of that, didn't he? A little bit of a door open there, and Josh Waters made his way through. But great start from Mike Jones. Crew Halliday, he was hungry. He wanted that spot. Up the inside, though, Wayne Maxwell took a tight line looking for a way past. He's got to be careful because Maxwell's in an attacking position right now. And we know he's going to dive soon. He looks up the inside. Maxwell goes through nearly.
Oh, Crew Halliday was late on the brakes. They almost they do rub shoulders on the way out. Bit of contact between Maxwell and Halliday as they come onto the straight. Looks like Brian Starring's going to try and take advantage of that. On board the Desmos Ducati, he does. He gets ahead of Crew Halliday. So Maxwell up into second. Halliday back to fourth place. And I was thinking maybe Troy Herfoss had just managed to get past him as well, but he couldn't. Crew Halliday's managed to hold on, so Starring up into third.
Well, that was a pretty exciting opening lap, Phil. A lot happened that lap, and I tell you what, Starring's in a good position now. Crew Halliday, unfortunately for him, he got beaten up on that lap. He wasn't a good start, but yeah, it just didn't work out for him. You've got to be sure that if you're in front of Maxwell on the first 1 or 2 laps of this race, he's going to attack, because attacking early on these corners is how you get through.
Just keep that eye on Brian Starring as well, because he admitted that his bike was a little bit hard to ride in the first race. Looking a little bit smoother in this race as Crew Halliday tries to have a look up the inside. Can't quite get the job done. Did also notice on the first lap a bit of contact between Daniel Falzon and Matt Walters at the bottom of the hill. That Pirelli has put Matt Walters back a fair bit out of that route that he was battling with earlier on. You see Max out there again on board bike number 27, but it is Jones that has got a couple of light lengths lead over Wayne Maxwell in second. Then it's Brian Starring on board the Desmo Sport Ducati in third. Crew Halliday on the second of the YRT Yamaha R1Ms in fourth place. Herfoss on the Honda CBR 1000 Triple R in fifth place. And it's Arthur Cece's, the first of the, tier 2 teams, as they call them these days. Yes. On board bike number 61, doing a great job, the South Australian. In sixth position, that is Josh Waters, Glenn Allerton, Lachlan Epps and Daniel Falzon rounding out that top 10.
Yeah, good job by Arthur on the Unitech Yamaha machine there. Great job by him. Crew Halliday starts to settle himself down now, sitting behind number 67, Brian Starring on the Desmo Sport Ducati. But look who else is looking menacing there. Troy Herfoss. He doesn't want to be left behind. He can see that gap opening up.
Yeah, you can see Crew's desperate, isn't he, trying to get past.
Well, once again, when I look at it, you know, Starring is struggling a couple of tenths from the front guys. His last lap 2, 57.5, 57.4 for the guys in front.
Crew, I think, was just trying to do exactly what Mike Jones did to Wayne Maxwell in race 1 and get a tighter line on the exit of Motul corner and drive up the hill, but couldn't quite get the job done on Brian Starring's Desmo Sport Ducati. Great ride here from Herfoss, sitting right on the back of Crew Halliday's machine. Arthur's still in contact
Watch
Herfoss
Herfoss
as well.
Watch Herfoss. Herfoss is starting to look menacing down the bottom into the Pirelli corner there.
Josh Waters has gone with that lead group as well, sitting right on the back of them on that Maxima Racing Oils .film BMW M1000RR, the brand new M model with the carbon wings. Looking very impressive is Josh Waters this weekend, and a track they openly admit doesn't really suit the BMW.
Well, fastest man round last time out was actually Troy Herfoss with a 57.3.
Well, you predicted that he was on a bit of a charge. No jump starts has been confirmed by race control. Fastest man on the first flying lap was Wayne Maxwell with a 56.859. Remember when Jones was asked earlier on this weekend what would race pace be, mid-57s? His quote was, no, it will be faster than that. They're currently all sitting in the low 57s at the moment as they come round through the top of the circuit on lap 5. We're only a quarter of the way into this race and there has been so much action already.
Absolutely. Halliday's got to try and find a way through from Starring. Starring sits well in the championship, so he's not going to do anything stupid. He's not going to throw any more points away.
Maxwell is right onto the back of Jones now, so it's roles reversed from race number 1 this morning where Jones started from pole position, the 10th time that he's actually started from pole position in the Superbike class. He sat right on Maxwell's tail until the end of the race where he put an overtaking manoeuvre on. We've seen Maxwell had to battle with Starring, battle with Crew Halliday and also battle with Troy Herfoss in the opening stages, but he's managed to draw himself right up onto the back of Jones's Yamaha YZF-R1M, and the two of them have pulled about a 1 second lead over the rest of the field. Starring at the moment has got his intentions well and truly full with Crew Halliday crawling all over the back of the V4R as they make their way up the hill.
One of the big strengths of Mike Jones is his flow speed into the middle of the corner. Like, you're just about to go and hit the brake and you think you can get past him, but then he just keeps on flowing into the middle of the corner. You look at him and you think, well, he's not going to make it, but somehow he seems to make it every time. It's going to be hard for Maxwell to pass him into the braking areas.
And that was visibly noticeable too, wasn't it, at Queensland Raceway, where he seemed to be so fast into the corners. You can see Maxwell now is closed right up onto the back of Jones's machine. Can he put on a move at the end of the short back straight? Does he want to put on a move at the end of the short back straight? Or does he want to do exactly what Jones did to him in the first part of the race? We've commented several times, Steve. It's a lot easier to follow sometimes, and here at Wakefield Park, that's what Jones did for the entire first race.
Yeah, especially here. Like you say, it's tight, it's technical. If you can sit behind Jones, if you can stay with him and become comfortable, you can start to switch your brain off a little bit and start saving mental energy, strength, find out where you are actually stronger than him, and then, like, with about 3 or 4 laps to go, that's when you need to make your attack. But if Wayne Maxwell's smart, and there's not too many smarter than him, he will be trying to figure out where I can pass, at the same time saving his tyres and saving his energy.
Well, Jones still hasn't cracked into a 56 at any stage in this race. In fact, Wayne Maxwell is the only person to have recorded a lap in the 56s in this race so far. On the last lap, Jones with the 57.1, Maxwell 57.2, Starring 57.5, Halliday 57.4, and Troy Herfoss 57.3. As Crew Halliday goes up the inside of Brian Starring into the final corner, he used that flow speed that you spoke about with Mike Jones to great effect there and just flowed on into the corner underneath the Desmo Sport Ducati to take up the running in 3rd place. Can he get away now? Can he reel in his teammate and Wayne Maxwell that have got a 2.6 second lead?
Look, he had to do it because Brian Starring is pretty much whatever they tried to fix, they couldn't do it. Here we have another look on the AMX Superstores replay. He's just dived up the inside. Starring's left a slight gap. He wanted to get a good drive onto the start-finish straight, but Crew Halliday's gone through, stolen that track that Brian was aiming for, left the door open, and now he finds himself at least in a podium position.
Notice the completely different lines from Mike Jones and Wayne Maxwell at the bottom of the corner there at Pirelli. Very, very different lines, and it is also Troy Herfoss has made his way past Brian Starring as well now. So Troy Herfoss up into 4th position. He's managed to get past his former teammate down into the bottom of the hill there. He's probably put one of those famous moves on him.
Yeah, once again, I look at Brian Starring's bike. It looks like he's got no rear grip as he tips into these corners. He's just sideways. You need as much grip as you can. If you're thinking about the rear wheel when you're heading into these corners, you've got no hope, especially 20 laps around this track. Some bigger tracks like Phillip Island where it flows a lot more and you don't have to slow down and brake as hard, maybe, but here you need to be not thinking about the rear wheel grip.
Just having a look at the first 7 riders here, there are 11 Australian Superbike Championships between the first 7 riders in this championship. Goes to show you the quality of the riders at the front of this field. And Arthur CC's and Crew Halliday right in there amongst it with all the rest of those guys that are former champions or even current champions in the form of Wayne Maxwell.
Well, absolutely. Arthur CC's himself has raced overseas in the MotoGP paddock. I think back, he was with Jack Miller right at the very start. So, you know, he's a class act. He's raced the British Superbike Championship as well, so, you know, he's a good guy. 6, he's dicing with Josh Waters and Glenn Allen at the moment.
Down the key corners with Desmo Sport Ducati team owner Ben Henry.
I've got Ben Henry here. He doesn't want to pop down and speak to me right now. He's pretty fully focused, but I asked what was happening with Brian Starring out there. What do you think's going on? Because he's lost a little bit of pace in a few places.
Honestly, he just doesn't seem to have the extra grip. It just seems to be. I just think it's the grip and maybe the technique of how he's attacking the turns. I reckon a little bit, but maybe it might come good in the last 5 laps. I don't know, but you can just see the rears moving so much.
All right, Ben, thanks for chatting. That's Ben Henry, team manager of Desmo Sport Ducati.
And there you can see how much effort these guys put into it. I mean, that's the team manager. The whole team have been slaving away. They've had a victory last time out, you know, and they've been pumped because Brian's been up there in the championship. So they put their heart and soul into it, working late nights. And then it comes down to the last race, and it gets to that point where whatever they've worked on hasn't worked, and you can just see it taking the toll on the team. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, Brian Starring definitely struggling with something at the moment. Arthur, once he gets a sniff, he'll dive past for sure. He's got good speed, he's small, aerodynamic, and he's good on the brakes. So, you know, Brian Starring is in a lot of trouble.
Well, especially Brian Starring sitting second in the championship as well. I think it was 6.
There he goes.
Maxwell up the inside. Maxwell up the inside lets Mike Jones know that he's there and he's well and truly keen to make a move for the front of this race. So as they come round to complete lap 13, it is Maxwell that takes the lead for the first time in this race. Let's have a look at the lap times. A 57.4 for Maxwell, a 57.9. That half a second would have been lost as Mike Jones had to stand the bike up in turn 10.
100%, but just because he's gone past Mike Jones, that doesn't mean that Mike was doing his fastest pace. For sure, he would have had a little bit in reserve there because he knew that there was a massive gap back, 3.6 seconds back. Let's have a look at the AMX Superstores replay. Just dives in typical Wayne Maxwell style to the inside, smooth as you like, straight as a die, takes the move. The number 46 has to sit the bike up. Maxwell's through, straight on the perfect drive line out. And now you can see the back of that Ducati, the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech Ducati starting to dance.
Well, you get to see it was sideways coming over the corner, but at the same time, look to be getting good drive, which is important.
Absolutely.
You can get as sideways as you want, as long as you're getting drive forward. Speaking of drive forward, look at Herfoss. He's still all over the back of Crew Halliday. As Halliday in this desperate attempt to make it 2 podiums for bike number 65 here at the 3rd round of the championship. But Herfoss is desperate to try and get back up onto that podium. His first podium since he last took victory at Darwin in race number 1. That was midway through last season.
And look at Jones, he's riding the back wheel now. So he looks like perhaps he did have something in the tank because he's quickened his times up now. He was in the high 57s, now they're doing mid 57s, 57.4 for both of those guys last time round. So perhaps Wayne's...
Herfoss down the inside of his favourite corner, but he did exactly what he mentioned in the track preview. He's unfortunately run a fraction wide. If anything, he's lost a fair bit of distance to Crew Halliday. He laid it all on the line, and unfortunately, he didn't go off into the gravel, but managed to keep it on the black stuff, just running a fraction wide. Fair bit of work to do now for Herfoss. Is that his challenge over?
Well, he's got 5 laps left. I mean, Crew now knows that there's an attack happening. Let's have a look. He's dived up the inside there in the Pirelli. Can't tip it in. He's right on the dirty part of the track there. He can't tip it on the ripple strip. Crew's gone through. Crew got lucky there, but he knows that he's going to be pressured by Herfoss to the end of this race.
57.3 for Maxwell on the last lap, 57.3 for Jones, 58.0 for Halliday, and a 58.9 for Troy Herfoss. He lost that full second pretty much at the bottom of Pirelli, where we head now with our race leaders. Bit of lap traffic on the road as well. Is that Michael Jones, the Queenslander? Michael Edwards, the Queenslander, doing a good job to get out of the way of our race leaders. We're laying it all on the line now.
Bit wide there on the exit for Mike Jones. Perfect drive there from Wayne. Again, hard on the brakes, but look how smooth he looks. He looks like he's not even trying.
Well, I reckon a lot of that is to do with riding the Avali so much that he does. His body movement was always pretty economical around the motorcycle, but now he seems to move even less.
I don't think riding an Avali has got anything to do with setting up a Ducati
I don't know,
Superbike
but I'm
V4.
talking the way he moves around the bike.
Oh,
He hardly
100%.
moves on the bike at all. You can see him there coming up there. Mike Jones obviously clearly hanging off the side a fair bit more than what Wayne Maxwell does. Maxwell stays very central to the motorcycle. Bit of a change of styles there too. Old classic style compared to the new age, sort of more elbow down style, isn't it?
Well, they look like they both work to me, don't they? They're both impressive out there. But, you know, that Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech team, they put a lot of time and effort into getting the setup just right and perfect. And, I mean, look at it. Even when it slides, it just sits. You know what I mean? There's no bucking or weaving. It sits there. So it's a very... looks like it's a user-friendly bike to ride, and that's down to Wayne Maxwell telling the team what he needs to
But
make
also
it work.
the legendary work done by Craig McMartin and also Adrian Monty, his crew chief, who interprets all of the electrical data and the feedback from the telemetry and everything on the bike and comes up with solutions to all of the problems that they've been coming across.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Jones is doing a fantastic job, and Kev Marshall's obviously worked very hard on the setup of that Yamaha YZF-R1M because it also looks to be very stable, riding the bumps incredibly well, and enables Jones to carry an unbelievable amount of quarter speed, mainly on that corner entry.
Look, this isn't over yet. There's only a couple of laps to go, but Jones is right there, and as we saw in race 1 earlier today, he possibly will have something in the bag. Wembley unleash it? Yet to be seen.
Or has Wayne Maxwell hold a little bit in the bag, and is he not unleashing full power yet? Well, there might be a little bit of cat and mouse going on now, but if anything, Maxwell looks like he's pulled out a bike length or two on this lap. It'll be interesting to see what the lap times are. I think Maxwell may have taken an extra tenth or so out of Jones. As they come around, they'll be completing lap 18, so only 4.5 Ks to go. With
the oil flag is out. Oil flag is out. That's going to be a little bit concerning when they go into the bottom end of the circuit there. All good.
So 57.4 for Maxwell, 57.5 for Jones, 57.7 for Halliday, 57.6 for Troy Herfoss. So the gap between Herfoss and Halliday is now out to around 1.2 seconds. So I think Drew Halliday may be just in a position that he can hold on for that second podium of the weekend.
Jones is there. There's nothing in this little slide. They're coming up to some back markers. Hopefully they get out of the way. And they do. Through go the leaders.
Yeah, good job there by Chandler Cooper and Max Stouffer, who can now resume their battle for 13th and 14th position. We'll look to see the battle continue between Wayne Maxwell and Mike Jones. They come round now. This is the last time through here on this lap. We're coming down to the start-finish line. They will get the last lap board. 2.2 kilometres and 10 corners to go. Maxwell has got his head underneath the paintwork of the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech Ducati V4R. Jones tries to respond. He can't do what he did in race number 1 and get the drive out of this corner because Maxwell's got a pretty handy lead as they come up to a WMF corner for the last time, Steve. Top of the hill now, and it is Maxwell that leads by a bike length or two over Jones. Is he going to put a move on at the bottom of the hill?
He's got to give it a go. He's got to give it a go as he heads out there. He's right in the slipstream now. This is where Jones is fast, but Maxwell chops him off. He looks up the inside. He's made that move. This is going to be one of his last chances. He can't do it. He runs wide.
Well, Maxwell played that to absolute perfection. Jones tried to get through. Just got blocked by Maxwell. Maxwell gets the bike sideways and drives. Can Jones come up the inside of the Yamaha Redford hard corner, or can he slipstream to the line? Maxwell goes in tight. He's going to come in halfway across the circuit. Can he square the bike off and get the run out to the start-finish line? Can Jones use the slipstream? Looks like he gets good drive. Wayne Maxwell drives towards the finish line. He's got it. He's going to take victory on the Boost Mobile Racing with K-Tech machine. He gives a quick 9. He's happy with that effort. And look at the battle here between Brian Starring after CCs, but I think we'll find that Drew Halliday has taken his second podium of the weekend on board bike number 65. But victory to Wayne Maxwell by 0.298 of a second. And he is back, Wayne Maxwell, on the top of the podium.
Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Phillip Island since his last victory, so really good and refreshing to see him back up there. Queensland Raceway wasn't fantastic for him. Mike Jones had a bit of a purple patch, 3 in a row, but it wasn't 4 in a row, that's for sure. Wayne Maxwell was giving it everything he could.
So So Halliday in third, Herfoss in fourth, Starring in fifth, Arthur CC's in sixth, Josh Waters in seventh, Glenn Allerton 8th, Anthony Weston in ninth, then Lachlan Epps rounds out the top 10, Bowson in 11th, Jed Metcher in 12th, but a massive shout out to Max Stover, who has finished in 13th position after that massive crash on Friday afternoon. But no one would have thought that he would have been back on the bike. But Wayne Maxwell takes the win by 0.298 of a second over Jones, and Drew Halliday will join his teammate on the podium. It's been a big weekend for YRT. Herfoss in fourth, Starring, CC's Josh Waters, Allerton, Ant West, and Lockie Epps rounds out the top 10. Some good races there for Lachlan Epps and first points of the season.
Absolutely, good to see Epps get some points on the board. Daniel Falzon, back from being married last time out, halfway through the weekend in 11th position. Jed Metcher there as well, good for the 727 Motorsport team.
Hasn't tasted victory since race 2 of round 1 of the championship at Phillip Island. We'll be hearing from our top 3 very, very shortly. Mike Jones would have increased his championship lead, but the big news is that Maxwell is now up to second place in the championship. Let's go down to KP on the podium with our top 3.
In P3, Crew Halliday, YRT. You look puffed, but you have a smile, which is better than the last podium that we had you up here for.
Yeah, it's I'm actually more not that satisfied with that race. It's some of the boys from the rows further back tried to win it in turn 1, and just sort of they got in front of me, and I just had to go deep going into turn 3. I had to get past Wayne and Brian, and Wayne went up the inside of me in the last turn. I didn't only see him at the last minute. We sort of connected a little bit, and then because I was coming from off the other side of the track and he was on line, we connected again, and then I had to shut throttle, and Brian sort of nudged me. I'm like getting smashed around everywhere down the first straight, and sort of had to just regroup. And the hard thing about Brian is he's so defensive as a rider. He rides in the middle of the track, which is really hard to pass. And once he left like a foot open, I had to just throw it in there. And I know we're friends off the track, but sometimes you got to be a bit of a I can't really swear, but just a bit aggressive with him. And then I knew Troy was behind me, and that was the hard thing because I know how hard he is on the brake. And I was just riding the middle of the track everywhere. I was trying to do what Brian was doing to me, and I mucked up and out of turn 5, and he got the run on me, and I knew it, so I had to brake early and sort of lure him going into deep, and I could just jump back on the inside, and I built that 1 second gap and sort of held it to the end, but that's all I had. So,
and I know that you had grip issues as well. How was that out there?
Yeah, I was treading on ice, and I probably should have went to the other tyre, but it's hard to say. The tyres that we're on are supposed to work in the heat, and yeah, I don't know. It's just, it was a hard race. It was hard. That was actually a really physical race on my body.
Well, excellent stuff to see you back up here. More points for the championship, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done, crew. And in P2, the championship leader right now, Mike Jones. Mike, did you almost get lost going into P2 after all your wins of recent?
Yeah, I rolled in here and I wasn't sure what spot to go into, but no, look, yeah, P2 for that race was a really solid result. Obviously I've got a few things on my mind there. I want to try and win the race. I've also got to be conservative for the championship, and I've got a few points buffer there, so I don't have to win the race. It's a bit funny in your head when you're getting in the race towards the end. But the one thing that I said leading into the start of that race was that I really wanted to get the whole shot and jump into the first turn, and I was able to do that. So very stoked to be able to make an improvement there, and then manage the race from the front. But Wayne just had that little bit extra, and even when he passed me, I couldn't quite have an answer for him like I did in the first race.
It was great to see your battles between you and Wayne, because we know how heavily he defends and how well he knows this track as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's got a lot of experience. I think he might nearly be the oldest rider in the field. Not to be rude, but he's got a lot of experience, and for me, it's great. I'm a young fella. I'm learning a lot from him. So to be able to race with him, and at that, we're on the limit of our motorcycles, and race at that level is, it's really great for me to learn.
Big success for you and a big success for Yamaha. So well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just want to say a big thanks to the Yamaha racing team. They've given me a fantastic package here this weekend, and just so happy to get a win in a second place.
Well done, Mike. Congratulations. We'll see you in the next round. And in P1, Wayne Maxwell, come on over. That's the smile we've been waiting for all weekend. Well done. You made some changes. You worked hard out there.
Yeah, I was a lot different following Mike at the start and actually seeing where I was faster and he was faster. He was so good out of turn 2 and the top of the hill, and then I was good really in the middle and some places like that. So once I learned a little bit off him, when I got back to the front, I could sort of, where he was strong, I was trying really hard, and where I was strong, I was just trying to recover and then stretch the lap out. And yeah, we were lucky enough to get the win there in the end, because I could hear him right there, and yeah, I knew he had speed in places in the last part of the lap. But look, massive congratulations to those guys. For my guys, the Boost Mobile K-Tech team, unbelievable. Like, I can't thank them enough. It's been a very, very trying start to the season for us, and to go into this little break with a little, you know, a win and something to motivate us is really good, because after the last couple of rounds and the start of the year, everything's, you know, spiraled out of control. But to get a win is fantastic reward for the guys for their hard work, and yeah, they never give up on me, and yeah, it means yeah, that's why I put it on the line when it counts.
We head to Darwin next. What are your takeaways from this round that we can bring into the next?
Mike's going to be fast. And we've got to try to be faster. So look, Darwin's going to be, is normally a good track for the Ducati, works really, really well there. So yeah, hopefully we can go there, and we had a good bike there last year. We can improve on that a bit. I think we'll be really strong.
Fantastic. Well, great racing. Well done, Max. Good to see you back on the top step, Wade.
Thank you very much.
Mike Jones takes the round victory and now leads the championship on 132 points over Wayne Maxwell on 109, who's overtaken Brian Starring, courtesy of that race victory. Starring slipped back to third on 102. Josh Waters in fourth on 94 points. Crew Halliday in fifth on 90. Glenn Allerton in sixth. Very close between Allerton, Arthur CC's and Troy Herfoss in 6th, 7th, 8th positions. And Daniel Falzon in 9th. Ant West rounds out the top 10. With Aidan Wagner, Jed Metzer, Max Stoker, a brave effort from young Max this weekend in his first year on board a Superbike. Time to head back down to Park May with Kate.
Well, guys, remember, at home, to stay up to date with everything ASBK, head to our website and onto socials, and we look very forward to seeing you in Darwin, 17th to 19th of June. It's been excellent, Steve, working with you. I've had a great time, and I'll see you in Darwin.
I'll be there.
See you there.